And of course, there's the unfinished business of the U.S. So many questions that have been left unanswered, so much that we have decided that we would not answer and that we've had the luxury not to answer. Question of intervention in Syria. We've been able to do both things, both to say that we support the Annan plan and that we're prepared to work diplomatically and to see whether it's going to succeed, but also working to strengthen the opposition and working with countries that are arming the opposition, and not deciding today whether we can make that choice between two options that I confess are extremely dangerous, both of them. But at some point, the choice has to be made between doing very little or nothing, in which case this conflict will continue, it will become more sectarian, it will become more polarized, in which Islamists will play a bigger role on the side of the opposition, in which you are likely to see more sectarian massacres on one side and the other. But it is a choice. It's a choice that one can make and decide this is not a conflict, as a number of foreign policy analysts have said. It's not a conflict in which we should get involved, because if we get involved, and then perhaps, suppose we get involved and it doesn't change anything, and there's a further massacre, does that mean that we have to get more deeply involved and overthrow the regime? Or suppose we get involved and our allies perpetrate a sectarian massacre of their own. What do we then do to protect those who were harmed? So I understand that there is choice about doing nothing. There's also harm in intervening broadly, and I've just outlined some of the harms. But you can intervene broadly, but then you have to decide what will happen if Iran gets involved, what will happen if Hezbollah gets involved, what happens if it becomes a regional proxy war, at what point do we stop? Do we know what the exit looks like? Do we know how we will get out of another war when President Obama has committed himself to ending two? Does he really want to start a third? But we don't have the luxury of not choosing for much longer, because if we don't do anything, and I'll be honest, I believe that the risks of intervention are very high, so I sympathize with the instinct of not wanting to intervene. But if we don't do anything now, within a month, 2 months, perhaps 6 months, as I said earlier, intervention won't even be possible, because it will be an all-out civil war, and whose side will we intervene on if the Sunnis are also guilty of massacres against Alawites? So it is a choice we have to make, and we may not have the luxury of waiting.